so freaking bad. Wrestle me.
Welcome, everybody, to Juice Pro Wrestling, episode 105, Created to Kill, with special guest Aaron Fowler. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, joining the Juice, which is me, and Sretton, which is that guy over there in a different parallel universe. He's a fan of the show, but more importantly, he's a very creative, artistic person that puts out a lot of badass content, physical content that you all can buy and commission and get your own stuff to do. And we're going to get into that here in a second. But this guy has done some killer busts of not just wrestlers, but just to name a few of the wrestlers he's done. We got Phoenix Pentagon. You got Sammy Callahan, George South, which is one of my favorites. It looks fucking awesome. Adam Bomb. I saw he was working on an RVD, a bunch of fucking awesome statues, busts that this guy has created. And we're going to get into his story and how he came into making all these. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children, ages 18 and up, welcome Aaron Fowler to the program.
What's up?
What's up, brother? Yeah! Let's get fucking nuts!
I put mine. Already lost.
So Aaron, he's drinking that Bud Light, as Juice likes to go Bud Heavy, as you guys know. Have you ever done any podcasts or anything before?
No, not recently with like my wrestling stuff. Ages ago, I was actually doing these sculptures called MM Aliens. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but yeah, I did some podcasts back then for that, but that's been a long time.
MM Aliens, that reminds me of those, like Animorphs or something. Weren't there some fucking books? That's right, yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Animorphs used to be, man, what was that, like 1999? Animorphs
yeah.
Was big.
Let's see what you got.
That's one of those right there. That's
shit.
Kind of where I started was, a lot of my sculpting and stuff was these things. So,
damn, dude, making Todd McFarlane fucking sweat over there with all that detail.
So usually we don't usually do this. We post the MP3, the audio version of the web of the podcast on Libsyn, obviously. But This week it is a treat if you get on YouTube. If you're listening right now, do yourself a treat and get on YouTube so you could see some of Aaron's statues. They are fucking detailed and they're fucking badass.
Oh yeah, this ain't no fucking
awesome. So
this ain't no fucking bullshit. Like this is totally like professional quality stuff right here, and you guys will be able to at the end of the show we'll be able to tell you where you can commission this gentleman to get some of his artwork done. And speaking of artwork, I was kind of stalking your Facebook and Twitter page. Well, not your Facebook, but your Instagram. Dude, you're a badass artist as well, man.
Oh, thank you.
Was it seeing some of the wrestling
drawings?
Pictures?
Okay,
yeah, the drawings, dude. I was like, fuck, man. You had pictures like cartoon caricatures of like Sid. They were all on the line like Sid and Sandman. It was maybe for some wrestling event. You do some cons and stuff, right?
That's kind of how it started. Was we have this big convention every year in Winston-Salem called Wrestlecade.
Right.
That's familiar. It's a really, really big convention, and every year. Well, it started. I did like that group photo you're talking about, and threw that up, took that, and had all those guys sign it. Well, if you saw the signed one, I got it right here. Sid's signature is not on there. I guess he had softball that weekend.
Hey, we show your pain.
In classic fashion, he no-showed the shit out of it, and I got everybody else on there.
Right. So these Wrestlecades, man, that's. Before we get into that and the wrestling aspect of what you're doing, I want to know, kind of go a little bit more into your background as far as like early childhood as a wrestling fan. And then something that really struck an interest with me was I'm a huge horror fan. Me and Sretton are both huge horror fans. And you actually had the luxury of going down to Tom Savini's school and learning from, well, I don't know if the man himself. I know we talked on the phone a couple of times, but tell us a little bit about that. You like early childhood, getting into like maybe sculpting and artwork, and then transitioning into your college years and going down to Savini's gig.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I've always done artwork and stuff like that since I was little. I was always drawing army men, like shooting each other and stick figures. You know, I wasn't. My dad probably let me see a lot of shit I wasn't supposed to see when I was like 4 or 5 because he traveled.
Oh, yeah.
I think when he'd come home, it was like, well, we're hanging out. So here's Terminator, puts his hands over my eyes when the titties come out. That's about it.
Yeah. Now that's a titty.
So like I saw, you know, all that Predator, that Aliens.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching Return of the Living Dead at a very young age, and that fucking me up real bad.
Oh, dude, same here.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies now, though.
All time, dude. Like out of any genre, that's, you know, we got the artwork done for that. That's kind of a tribute to Return of the Living Dead. Love that shit, man. I got a couple different versions of the soundtrack on vinyl. It's one of my favorite soundtracks, dude. Being a huge punk rock guy, dude. That like for 80s. And they had some killer fucking bands on it, dude. Even had Rocky Erickson. Yeah, the Cramps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, man, that's still, to this day, one of my all-time favorites now. But, yeah, so as a kid, I guess I always watched horror movies. And, you know, we grew up during the Hulk Hogan era. So, like, how were you not a wrestling fan as a child? So, you know, with him and Ultimate Warrior, I mean, I was obsessed. I remember going and seeing No Holds Barred with my grandfather at the movie theater.
No shit. I just watched that on Tubi the other day. I have it on Blu-ray and DVD.
Oh, yeah, me too.
You fucking sick freak.
But I watch it now and I'm like, Jesus, well, he must have been like, this is the worst thing.
Oh, dude. It's bad, but it's like one of those, it's good because it's so cheesy and bad. You know, it's one of those types of deals.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. So, I got into wrestling as a kid. Outside of Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, though, we down, you know, I live down south. We mostly had like a ton of WCW. So I remember watching that mostly as a kid. I was a huge Flying Brian fan.
Fuck yeah.
I remember seeing Jushin Liger when they brought him in and thinking like, that is the coolest shit I've ever seen just because of that costume. You know what I mean? As a little kid, it didn't get better than like that mask and that whole getup, like human superhero thing.
Hell yeah. Liger-san.
Yeah. So, you know, the horror movies, action movies, all that stuff kind of melded the artwork I would do. Like I was never really, even when I was in like high school, you know, and they give you, do this assignment. I remember it was like, do a portrait of somebody, and I did a portrait of Tommy Dreamer.
Hell yeah.
So I was always comic books, horror movies, and wrestling and stuff.
Did you ever want to get into like drawing for any comics, like DC or Image or Marvel or anybody?
I don't feel like when I was younger, my focus was good enough. Like the idea or the thought of drawing something repeatedly, same character over and over and over.
It's ADD, right?
I was just like, I don't think I could ever do that. It's too much. And like, you know, and I'll be real hard on myself too, because I got to draw the same thing 2 times. Got to look like the same guy from multiple angles. Right. And if it's slightly off, I would just be terrible about like, oh, I got to redraw this and redraw this and redraw this. I mean, I've gotten better about all that as an adult now. You know, I get my stuff done, and it is what it is. I can't keep just sticking to it because otherwise I'll never finish a project. But then I think like most people outside of high school, the wrestling interest waned. You know, when I was around 17, 18, got out of it because I was probably chasing girls or whatever. Went off to college.
Pussy.
Yeah, yeah, like most. But then you I went back to being a child when I was around like 28.
Yeah.
Back into the same old shit. Like,
yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah.
Because you get older and you have a job, you have money now. Now it's like all that shit you wanted as a kid or wanted to pursue, you can actually afford to do those things. And there ain't nothing wrong with that, dude. I remember one of my favorite teachers I ever had in school. I'm trying to think here. Maybe this was 6th grade, I think it was. And this guy, dude, he's one of the guys that introduced me into like Spawn and shit. And, you know, at the time, I think he was probably in his mid-30s. I'm however old you are during that, you know, time of school. And he was just so cool, man. Like, he knew I was smart, but I didn't give a fuck about doing shit. He's like, man, just, you know, get this shit done. And I'll tell you what, you fucking get an ace these tests, I'll give you the first 3 copies of Spawn. You know, it's like motivated me. It was super cool, man. Really, you know, and you best believe I aced those tests and got those first 3 issues, you know? But he was the guy that motivated me too, because I like to draw. And much like you said, I I was always into drawing like buff dudes, you know, in a clearly heterosexual way, I might add. And not that there's nothing wrong with the other way, but I was just, that's all I was into. And I hated like an art class, no matter if it was like middle school or high school. I was kind of pissed because you're getting a biased grade, you know. I would look at some other kids, and as long as people try, you know, like they should at least be, it's an effort grade to me, you know. Because I saw some kids do some amazing shit and get like some piss poor grades because it was like an opinionative grade, you know, like you said, they wanted you to draw a portrait or something. You draw Tommy Dreamer. Well, if you know, what if your fucking teacher didn't like that shit? And it could be like the most immaculate portrait ever, and be like, this shit sucks, you know. So I was always, I hated that, and I hated drawing backgrounds. I love just drawing the characters because that was one of my dreams as a child was to do comics. And then as you realize what really goes into doing them and cartooning and stuff, it's like, man, shame on me because it was my own mind beating me down, and to the point now where I rarely draw anymore. But I used to have so much fun doing it, man, and drawing like little superheroes and cutting them out. And I'd make my own like popsicle stick figures and shit. I feel you on that, man. Like the whole, like you have to draw something like in succession, like the cartoon style. Like I couldn't do any of that, man.
Yeah, I always just wanted to like create one character and move on to the next character. Like I was always way into character design and that. But as far as like drawing buildings, cars, trees, I can do it. But yeah, I'm not. I'd rather have someone else do that. Just draw people in.
Let me just draw the buff dudes and the big titty chicks.
Yep.
I couldn't draw women to save my life though. So
barbarians with women laying at their feet.
Yeah, like some
Frazetta.
Frazetta, Simon Bisley, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, I kind of jumped right past. So yeah, got out of high school, and that's when I went off to the Tom Savini school. And
now, how did you get? Did you just fall in that because you're a big horror fan? And I mean, how like in depth do you go with like the horror? Were you like Let me put it this way: did you know you were going to motherfucking Tom Savini school, or were you just like, I heard this is a good school?
It was like probably a year before I graduated, and I remember seeing advertisements for it in like Fangoria magazine, and I was like, so what is this? And like the more we looked, me and a good friend of mine looked into it, we're like, oh shit, this is like, we're gonna legit learn how to learn or make like special effects makeup, which when we were in high school, me and my buddies were constantly making like zombie movies and stuff, and
nice, you
know, doing like our little bullshit makeups, whatever we had access to. But my senior year of high school, I actually bought a mask making kit, like a latex mask making kit from this website called Monster Makers, and I believe they're still around. They're in Cleveland, I think, and learned how to make rubber masks. Actually did like my senior thesis or whatever on that, about like, will movie makeup still be around with CGI on the horizon and stuff. Then from there, I went to the Savini school, which for wrestling fans, I don't know if a lot of people know. I'm pretty sure he made a couple of Kane's masks, and I believe he sculpted the Fiend. Did he not?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a little tie in there, but so
it all comes back to wrestling, man.
Yeah. Went to his school and learned how to do movie makeup and all of that, and they also taught you how to do like toy manufacturing, making statues, sculptures, things like that. And I went in completely thinking like, oh, that's what I want to do, makeup. But then when I came out, I was like, well, I like making statues and toys like way better. So, I didn't really want to move to LA, which is kind of a necessary evil if you're going to be into movies and stuff. So, and that just for whatever reason just didn't sound appetizing to me, you know, the whole LA scene or whatever, paying $3,000 for a small bedroom apartment or what. I don't want to do that. So, but anyways, then I got out of there, and like I said, kind of fucked off like an early 20s person for several years, just partying and chasing girls or whatever. But, you know, once I got my focus back in place, I started sculpting again, started doing those, like the alien that I showed you guys and doing all that stuff. Started finishing projects for the first time really was a big step because I would always have problems with that. But, I guess 3 or 4 years ago now, after the first year I went to Wrestlecade with some artwork, I took that picture that you were talking about. And
yeah.
Then the next year, I had more time to think about it. I was like, man, it'd be pretty cool to present these guys these statues, you know, and have them sign like a little card. And I glue it to each statue I have, except for Sammy Callahan is signed. And so I the first year I made Pentagon Jr., Phoenix, and Tommy Dreamer, and Ryback that year. Which
yeah,
some shit over that one, I'm sure.
Sorry,
I'm a fan. Fuck y'all. But
give me more.
But yeah, and like, dude, they were all psyched when I showed it to them. You know, like Tommy Dreamer couldn't have been any cooler when I presented him with it. And then so just every year after that, I started doing it, and people started noticing. So then I started getting emails from people, and actually, the guy who runs Wrestlecade is he's the one who commissioned me to do that George South sculpture that you were referring to.
Yeah. That shit's awesome. Did you see him on NWA recently? It was like a month or two ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude. Should have won, awesome. Man.
Yeah, dude.
Fucking bullshit. That dude, you know, man, that guy's like getting up there in age, and that guy still commands a room like nobody I've ever seen.
Oh, man. I felt like the hair on my arms stand up when he came out. You know, like Colby Carino shot Steve Carino, you know, EC Dub original. It just cut this fucking piss poor promo. And it's like one of those things that make you want to get out, like grab him through the fucking TV and choke the kid. You know, it's like, you know, I'm doing this for my baby boy and it's sitting at home. Like, come on. You know, I'm not watching WWE. I don't want to hear this happy-go-lucky shit. And it didn't sound authentic. You know, it's like, at least make me, if you're going to feed me that line of bullshit, make it sound like you're really doing it for that, you know? It wasn't convincing at all. And then out comes George South, dude, just rips him a new asshole. Yeah. And he's just looking the part, dude, fucking tough as nails, dude, older than fucking dirt, you know, strong as leather, man. Like, I love that shit, dude. Looked like he walked right out of the pages of PWI from 1975 or some shit. I loved it.
Yeah, every year, you know, I mean, he plays a big part in most of the wrestling around here. He's got something to do with it. And like, man, that guy will have the crowd so fired up before he ever even takes that damn jacket off. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, at first the first time I ever saw him, I was like, God, man, what's this guy doing out here? This old man. then he starts running his mouth, and I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. It's like how he's fucking doing.
It's how I felt about Ric Flair when I was a kid. Like, you know, he was a little older even when we were kids, and I was always like, why the hell does everybody like this old man who's like, he doesn't look anything like the Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan? And then you get older and you watch his promos, you're like, Jesus, what a dumb kid.
Hey, have a hard time keeping these alligators on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Dude, he's responsible for so many classic promos. And even back in the day, like you said, I watched a lot of WCW too, and being up here in Northwest Indiana, we're about a half hour away from Chicago. I mean, we kind of got it all. We're like, even to this day, we're a melting pot for professional wrestling, man. I remember like the early 90s, like I want to say right at 92, WCW Saturday Night to me was hotter than fucking fire. I mean, dude, you had so many badasses there. That roster was fucking killer. You had Rick Rude, Vader, Ron Simmons, Brian Pillman.
Steamboat.
Steamboat. Yeah. And he had just came back, I believe, from WWF. And then Flair doing the same thing, making his exodus for, I don't even think maybe it was a cup of tea in the WWF and coming back. But man, dude, and Sting was the guy maybe that caught my eye originally.
Oh, yeah.
And then I kept watching it. And I ended up gravitating to that more than WWF at the time, you know. And then luckily, you know, history, we all know what happened there. It became Hogan coming over and then the NWO and all that. And I was fortunate enough to be along for that ride. But I was watching it beforehand, you know, and enjoying it way more than I was seeing fucking, you know, the 1, 2, 3 Kid or Mantar or any of that fucking bullshit. Yeah, Spaghetti. Yeah. I don't even recall it. I don't think I watched any of the WWE when I was like around that age. Like I don't remember the Goon, Duke Drozy, none of those guys. It was like trying to stick, you know, like you said, we're Hogan fans. So every time like he would come around, it was like, yeah, you got to watch. But at that time, that's, you know, he was trying to get out and get into acting He was doing the Thunder in Paradise and all that shit. He had left to went and go film TV and movies and shit. And he came back. Like, last thing I really remember was him coming back, because I was at WrestleMania 8 and I saw him go against Sid, which was, dude, it was fucking amazing. And then WrestleMania 9, he shows up out of nowhere to win the belt. Yeah, like,
oh yeah, was that that was the Trump Taj Mahal one or whatever? Where it was outside, right?
Yeah, it was outside. Yeah, it was in.
And it was like some wonky finish where Bret Hart was in the match, and then he just like showed up and took the title at the end.
Yeah, Bret Hart dropped the title to Yoko.
That's right.
And then Hogan came and somehow challenged for the fucking belt and won it. And at the time, I was a young kid, didn't know the ins and outs really of the business. I was like, fuck yeah, like whatever. It's Hogan, I love this dude.
Yeah.
And looking back now, it's like, that was kind of whatever. Maybe flexing a little bit of that political stroke backstage, but
perhaps.
I mean, and then after that, that's when it led into like the Tuesday. What was it? Something in Tuesday in Texas or whatever, when he dropped it to Undertaker. And then pretty much after that, it was like I didn't really watch much of the WWF. Like you said, it was all about WCW for me until, like the Attitude Era came back.
Yeah, until Stone Cold showed up. God, I remember when he got huge, again, being a WCW guy, I remember like first thought was like, is that Stunning Steve? Like,
yeah.
Because that's how I knew him. I was like, wait a minute. He's like the biggest thing now? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember thinking like, holy shit.
Well, you're a big ECW guy too, right? I mean, a lot of those bumps he did, he got.
That's my all-time favorite. Yeah, ECW's like, I mean, if I have it my way, I'm going to try to make my way all the way down that roster and get it.
Oh, man, dude.
Like, I want to do a tag team of, I really want to do like a tag team sculpture of Balls and Axel.
Nice.
And I definitely need to do a New Jack, seeing as I got a commission. Because I did that commission for Angel Medina from the Baldy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So made a staple gun. And I got it molded up so I can pour a bunch of these now. And like, I got to make a New Jack sculpture, especially after watching Dark Side of the Ring, dude.
Oh man, that was great, dude. New Jack just don't give a fuck, man.
Yes.
I've been chipping away at that dude, trying to get him on the show. I know he's got a book out and everything, and I'm sure he'd want to promote that. I haven't got a reply back yet, but God, I would love to talk with that dude for a little bit.
Yeah. Hopefully he opens up to you. We had the pleasure of meeting him one time.
Mm.
It was pretty hey man, a huge thing. Love to meet you. $10.
Yeah, $10.
That was it.
Go fuck yourself, cracker.
I gave him I had him sign a picture and everything that I did, and just that's all I got. You make this $10. It's like, wow, he was the friendliest dude ever.
Yeah. You'll get guys like that.
Oh yeah. Well, I hear too, once that camera starts rolling, then you get what you saw on Dark Side. Because I heard interviews with those guys saying how like he did the same thing to them. Camera came on, and then he's New Jack. But I had my wife tell me after we watched that documentary, because she didn't know any of this. She watched it. She looks at me and goes, "It makes me so mad that you made a picture for that piece of shit."
See, so my old lady hates him too. She watched it and she's like, "Fuck that guy."
Yeah, she was like, "I don't get it. I don't know why you think he's so great. He's an asshole."
That's why I like him.
Yeah, that's why I like him.
Hey, did I tell you I like Gigi Allen too? Kind of backing up a little before we get into like some of the ECW stuff. When you were at Savini School, did you have the chance to like mingle with that dude at all, or?
Oh yeah. He was around. Yeah, he would show up like pretty regularly, like maybe every other week or so, and like Greg Nicotero would come by.
No shit. Nice.
Yeah. He came in and showed us some reels and footage and stuff, and I remember meeting him, and everyone was asking him about the Mark Wahlberg's giant dick in Boogie Nights.
Did he do Mark Wahlberg's dick?
Oh yeah, they made that prosthetic, and like the second someone asks, he just drops his head and he's like, "Man, I've done all these movies, like I've been nominated for awards, and all anyone ever wants to ask me about is Mark Wahlberg's dick."
I that would have never have crossed my mind meeting that guy, But that's a great story right there. Jesus, I didn't know Greg Nicotero was the one who did the.
Yeah, I didn't until right then.
Was he like, oh yeah, it was very very hard to pull off. It was very big, very hard, very stiff. But that's, I mean, dude, those are two legends of and not just the horror industry. I mean, mainly horror, but I mean, action movies. They've had their names on all kinds of shit, dude. Even in acting, you know.
Sex
Machine.
What was I
just? Yeah, come on, Sex Machine. What was I just watching the other day? Django Unchained, and I've seen that movie like 4 or 5 times. And I never noticed until recently that one of like the little hillbilly gang that are with in Candyland or whatever.
Yeah, it was Tom, the guy and the dog, right?
Yeah, Feed the Guy and the Dogs. Tom Savini's in there. I'm like, that's not him. His gut's too big. Like, it's totally Tom Savini, you know? Like, man, but those guys, that's super cool, man. I'm like sitting over here all jelly because legends, man, in filmmaking, you know?
Oh, yeah. Nicotero, I mean, that guy, I mean, Jesus, with Walking Dead, like that guy's a superstar now.
Oh, dude, yeah. Now and great for him. And actually, my buddy just hit me up. I think maybe it's season 2 or the second series. However, they're promoting that of Creepshow.
I haven't watched it. Have you watched the first one?
Yeah, the first one is pretty good. There's one or two they're like, it's okay, but it's pretty solid for what it is. It's available on Shudder, and I think AMC is going to be airing the first season too.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty cool, you know. But you know, those guys have attachments to guys like George Romero and that whole Dead series, which is so iconic. You know, like George Romero is the godfather of the modern fucking zombie. You know, Friday the 13th, like anything you think of in horror, these guys are attached to. What's the one scene I love? You ever seen Maniac?
Oh, yeah.
Tom Savini that gets his head fucking blown off in the car, dude. I got that shit on Blu-ray, son. I need to see how good that looks.
He would bring all kinds of props in, which was neat. Like, he brought quite a few in from Creepshow. Like,
really?
Oh, shit. What's the part of it with that big-ass Fluffy? The big monster in the box.
Oh, yeah, the monster.
Yeah, he brought that animatronic mask in. It was kind of breaking down. The latex was starting to rot away. We brought that big old thing in, like you'd wear it on your head and someone would control the eyes. And he brought in Lizzie, that little like white.
Yep.
Was that in Creepshow?
Yeah, I think
little white like lizard thingy. I don't know. It looked like a little bald monkey or something. It's like
a little bald monkey.
Yeah, he brought that in. Yeah, man. He was always he would always like swing by with some stuff that he just had laying around in his garage. Like a lot of it was deteriorated, but I think they were fixing some of it back up. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see all this stuff that I saw as a kid, man. I was like, whoa, this is
How difficult was how difficult was the curriculum? Like how in depth and how was it? You know, practicing your artistic skills with those guys and around that school.
I mean, honestly, I didn't think it was hard at all because like most of the people that were there, like you love doing that stuff.
Well, that's the tagline I saw that said like you're having fun, so it doesn't seem like you're going to school.
Yeah.
You know?
We still had to take like courses on anatomy and stuff like that, but even that was kind of like beneficial. You know, it's good to like, learn the pieces of the skull and everything.
He's very adamant about that.
It was one of those things where it was like you get what you put in. Like I don't feel like it's that hard to get through the school. Like you can probably pass even if you're not that artistically inclined. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's college, right?
But I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
It's college. But yeah, it was like you got what you put in. See, some people would go and fuck off and not use their time wisely to do things. But I mean, I was trying to do as many makeups as I could and do all, get as much out of it as I could. And I was constantly working. Even like, I don't know, I was young, so I could party real hard and still be up the next morning making masks and doing all that, So yeah, it was for me personally, I didn't think it was that hard, but I really enjoyed it. So I was ready to go. Like I knew I was there. So.
Now, and did they offer, obviously, those dudes got some connects You know, so say, I mean, you graduated from the program, obviously, right? Once you graduated, were they like, hey, we could hook you up like with a job immediately? Because I know you had mentioned like, fuck moving to LA.
Yeah. Okay. So that more did depend. Like if you were a dependable student, if they saw you had a good work ethic, if you were cranking out good work, like our main teacher, his name was Jerry Gurgley, and
Jerry what? Gurgley?
Gurgley, yeah.
I love it.
He was like one of the head. I think he worked pretty heavily for K&B with like Nicotero and Howard Berger and them. Yep. And like he was one of the head makeup guys on the Night of the Living Dead remake that Tom Savini directed.
I love that, dude. I have that on DVD, dude. That is, and it's kind of a mixed bag for fans on that one, you know, because some people are like, it shouldn't have been done, whatever. Dude, that had Romero's blessing, you know. He was like, please do it, you know. Like,
that movie's been remade like 5 times now, and that was by far the best remake. So
it's so great.
Yeah,
Tony Todd awesome. Too, man. Fucking Tony Todd, the Candy Man. But anyway, sorry.
Oh no, man. Yeah, so just to answer your question, you know, again, it was more where you were at mentally in that school. I think there was a lot of people. I mean, I was really young when I went, but I feel like I knew I was there, whereas there was a lot of people I saw kind of flounder and not be so hot just because, you know, you're out of the house for the first time and you're like, woohoo, yeah! And then lose focus of why you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens all too often in college. I did a semester in college. I wasn't ready for it. You know, it was, I was going to IU and it was like, I was back in school with guys I hadn't been in school with in a long time, from high school and shit. And, it was just party time because they don't give a fuck if you go, you know. It's like they get the professors get paid no matter what, you know, whether you show up or not. It's like, whatever. I'm not gonna waste my time talking to you about something, maybe unless you're like some sort of savant or some shit like that. Right. But it was very easy, you know, like instead of doing work, we just fucking roll up a couple dubs and go cruise around the golf course or some shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no one stopping you from doing that. That's for sure.
Right. But going out of that now, so you're out of college, you're kind of doing your own thing. You had mentioned like, you know, I didn't want to do the movies and all that shit. Mm-hmm. You kind of, I get from you, you're kind of more home based, more of a homebody, which I can respect, you know, because I love to travel and shit. Don't get me wrong. I've done a few tours with the band, played out of the country and shit, but it weighs on you. You know, I don't know if you want to call it homesickness or just whatever it is. Like if I don't live there, I don't want to be there. You know, I don't know. Like maybe for a hot second, it's fine, you know?
Right, yeah.
So you kind of got your roots and, like I said, very respectable on that. When was it that you were like, I mean, because was it just like, all right, I got out of here, now I have the skill to make these busts and all this shit? Like, because before you like started doing the wrestling, I mean, like you showed us that piece earlier at the beginning of the show. I mean, were you doing just all kinds of other like shit, like pop culture wise, or?
Okay, so I guess the first thing I did when I got out of school, it's down in my basement now because I feel like I can do it so much better. But you know the movie Big Trouble in Little China?
Oh fuck yeah, I love that
favorite
movie.
Yeah, it's my favorite movie of all time. And
that's where Raiden from Mortal Kombat idea came from.
Oh yeah, the 3 Storms, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a big bust or not a bust. He had legs and every full body of Kurt Russell standing there with the mic. I'm actually looking at the poster right now, and the Uzi in his other hand. Yeah. So I did that, and like I said, my focus wasn't great, and you know, I couldn't finish much, or I'd sit there and sculpt the same sculpture for months and months and months, because like I'd do a bunch, leave it there for like a month or two, and I don't know if you guys are like this, but like that's not a great thing to do because you'll come back in 2 months and just eat it alive. Like, fuck that. I could have done better. Like I could have done this, changed this.
And you never get it done.
It never finishes, right? It's just an ongoing thing because you're like, well, I'm better than this now, so it should look better. And then, of course, every time you're doing artwork, you're going to get better every single time. Right. Even if it's just like a tiny bit, you're going to get better. You're going to take like little things that you learn and move on to the next one. But yeah, as I got older, I feel like I've gotten better about that. So yeah, I've started finishing things, and I noticed, like, I can sit here and pick one of my sculptures apart, but if I show it to somebody else, they're like, "Holy shit, dude, this is amazing! How do you do this?" Meanwhile, I'm looking at it like, there's that one little spot that I should have sanded better, and
his dick's not big enough.
With the airbrush, God damn it! Like, I can't believe I'm showing this to anyone, and meanwhile, they're like, "Wow," So I have to get out of my own way sometimes, I feel like.
And that's the sign of a good artist, in my opinion. When I back in the day when I used to do a lot of writing, a lot of poetry and shit, I thought that was like the easiest thing to come back and rework, because like pieces that I had written, say like 5 or 10 years prior, I could come back and have a better vocabulary and feel great about rewriting this piece, Mm-hmm. But then as it translated into writing like lyrics for music, that wasn't always the case. It became harder, and like, fuck, I don't want this to be a part of my music or whatever. That's not good enough. Fuck it. Or even writing music itself, as far as riffing and all that and piecing it together, it's, you get to a certain point and you're like, oh, this is great. And then it's like you said, you step away for 5 fucking minutes or however long it is. It's like, oh no, that's not good. And then it never gets done. It never gets done. And you being able to overcome that is great, man, because obviously your fucking ability, your capability is amazing, dude. It's like you say, to the naked eye, the guy who didn't create it, it's amazing, dude. It's just one of those humps, I think, people with talent as an artist that they really need to get over. Otherwise, you're never going to move forward. You're never going to go anywhere, because you're always doubting yourself, second guessing, is this good? It's like, fuck it. Put yourself out there and see what the public thinks. Otherwise, why the fuck are you doing it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard for some, for people sometimes. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I remember talking to someone and then being like, they make meds for that. And like the thought crossed my mind, like, maybe go see a therapist and they can give me some. More than likely, that would have just killed my creativity, whatever the fuck they gave me.
Oh, yeah. They put me on that as a kid. It was called Ritalin.
Yeah. So anyway, it just eventually just boiled down to, I guess, maturity and just kind of understanding, like, someone else's vision is not going to be my vision. So I can put my thing out there and they're probably going to be like, wow. And, since I'm not like, you guys know, I'm not super heavy duty on social media. I'm not one of those guys that's constantly hammering away. I'll post a picture here and there. But
are you talking shit, Aaron? What the fuck?
I need to be better, man. I need to be fucking better. But it's been overwhelmingly positive. I don't. Now that I say that, some dickhead's gonna get on there and tell me I suck and that I should.
Oh, they will. Trust me. I've had some of those, and I'll go to Stratton and be like, "Man, you believe this guy fucking said that?" And it's like, usually, I'll be punk rock about it. I don't give a fuck. But sometimes they'll give you one that kind of stings a little bit.
Yeah, they nail you right where it hurts.
Yeah, fuck it. Like, it's like we get a video or post a video on YouTube and it's got like 300,000 likes or views and a couple thousand likes, and then there's like 500 dislikes. It's like you sit there and wonder, who the fuck are those 500 motherfuckers? I'm gonna fly to their house and choke their kids.
Oh man, my little sister's got a YouTube channel that's fairly successful, and like she announced her pregnancy on there.
Yeah,
and it was like, and then the very top comment, there was like 1 thumbs down and someone just being like, "This is fucking gay."
Oh yeah.
What the hell? Like, why of all videos would she like just leave it alone?
Yeah, there's always somebody that's got a fucking shit on the parade. It's. Yeah. I told the story to someone else recently on an episode. Some guy was talking shit. They were talking about PCO in a thread on Twitter, so I posted the interview we did with PCO, and this guy's like, "Oh, I heard it. It fucking sucks." I'm like, okay. And I did some smart remark back to him. It was like a kissy face or something, nothing too engaging, but kind of smart ass like back to him. And then he hit me up later that day. He's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to let you know, like, I did listen to that and it was good. I liked it." I'm like, "What?" I was just talking shit is what he said. And I'm like, why is the fucking, the movement of a thumb, you get your thumb looking like Orange Cassidy. It's so tired from all that shit talking, like, or a breath or a moment or anything. to do that. And I was like, that's fine. I don't, hey man, I don't care anyway, but pretty much kind of fuck yourself. If you're one of those people that do that, and I get it. You're going to have that in the world, but it's just, it's unnecessary, dude. And those are the people that are probably end up fucking putting a gun to their head or something. Because it's like, life is so bad. I got to shit on everybody else.
Oh yeah.
Fuck that.
Just scrolling all day.
Mm-hmm. But, so as far as these busts go, man, take us through the process real quick. How long does it take, say, it doesn't matter what character you're doing. I'm sure some, as opposed to others, might be a little more time consuming, but just the general product. Walk us through that real quick, the creative process for that.
Okay. So, it starts off, you basically build a skeleton with some armature wire. It's like, this thickness. It's pretty thick wire. I'm not sure what gauge, but you can buy it at like Michael's and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I make an armature, and you have to set it on. I make this pipe right here. You just run it in there and like stick that in, build the skeleton right there, and then put some foil over it just so you don't end up using so much clay. And then you start building the clay up on there, and you eventually end up with. Well, here I got this one, which you might appreciate this because I know you're a fan of this show. Because I don't just do wrestling. I'm in the middle of this, and his head's kind of falling off because the clay will start to dry if you don't like finish it and cook it in time. But I don't know if you can see that. But I did like a cartoony. He doesn't have a shirt on or nothing, but that's Wayne from Letterkenny.
Oh, it is! Holy my girlfriend's gonna freak out. She's got a fucking statue of Wayne from Letterkenny. So she just like, she's like, can I have it? Yeah, we're gonna have to commission some piece. Dude, Letterkenny is the shit, eh?
Oh man, it's such a good show.
To me, it's like the modern day. It's like the modern day Seinfeld. And guess what, boils and ghouls out there listening? It ties into wrestling. They're wrestling fans. There was a 2 or 3 minute tirade about, like, oh, you have to be so Bret Hart about it, eh?
Yeah. I remember.
This is good shit.
Yeah, man, that show's the best. But yeah, so. Yeah, that's like with all the clay added on. He doesn't have hands or nothing, but that's kind of what you end up with. And
that's fucking awesome, dude.
From there, I have to like, depending on the pose they're in, I may have to cut an arm off to save on materials. Like you chop the arm off.
Ooh, be nice, be gentle.
Hold it separately, and then put them back together once like I've made the molds. You pour plastic into the molds. And then pop it out, and then you have to put it back together, sand them down because they don't come out perfectly. So it's a long ass process. But then once you put them back together, prime it up and paint them, and that's the fun part. So,
are you doing this? As far as the painting goes, is this all brush painting? Is there like airbrush or?
Okay, so typically what I do is I'll put the base coat down with a hand brush. Then I'll take an airbrush and add in all the shading, especially on the flesh tones. So I'll add like highlights and shading and all that. And if they've got like light colored clothes, I'll add shading to that too. If they're wearing black, I don't bother. But yeah, so it's a combination of the two. I like to try and do as much with a hand brush as I can because just the airbrushing is really technical, and it's just not as, I don't know, it's not as fun as painting by hand.
Yeah, I mean,
for me,
right. It's pretty. I would think it's pretty tough too. I don't get guys. Who is that? Who's the one guy that's like a huge hip hop like airbrush guy, like Mr. Cartoon or whatever? You know what I'm talking about? He does tattooing and shit too.
I'm not sure.
I think it's just Cartoon or whatever. But like that guy's like dope. He's got killer shit, but. I just don't see how people could do that shit with an airbrush, man. It boggles my mind. I mean, same thing like you're doing with clay and sculpting, dude. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously you could be trained to do that shit, and you do a damn good job. But it's still weird, man. They're like, how do you? I always thought, like, for me personally too. I mean, did you collect action figures as a kid? You had to have, right?
Oh yeah.
This may be a bad example. Ninja Turtles, right? And then going into like, I don't know like how much in the comics you are, but like the old school like Toy Biz line of Marvel toys. You had like X-Men and Spider-Man and shit. And then like once McFarlane shit dropped, like even that first series, which wasn't as detailed as what McFarlane toys would become known for, because
it was such a noticeable jump though in the quality. Even
if Spawn's arms, only still, they didn't have the articulation, and they'd become known for all that shit. Now you
got Nika, who's like taking that to a whole nother level.
Yeah, they're taking that to a whole nother level. And I'm trying to think of how a lot of that is, if it's just modern day, like 3D printing, or if it was like, McFarlane back in the day and how detailed, and even I got a lot of the music figures too, man. That's just straight sculpting, dude.
They sculpt those like 18, like, did you ever see the 18-inch or 20-inch figures they would sell? Like the Ash, Chainsaw Massacre. I believe that's the size they sculpt them in. Mm-hmm. And then they would put them into a machine that would like shrink down the dimensions, and then they would mold it up in that size. Mm-hmm. But I believe I know they would sculpt them really big at first. So it wasn't like someone was taking that little 8-inch figure and sculpting. Oh, yeah. That would have been nuts.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, that would be fucking insane. But even on a bigger figure, I mean, it still blows my mind. I mean, mainly because I'm a fucking guy who doesn't do it, but dude, the detail is insane. Mm-hmm. I just saw there was a video with Todd. I'm trying to think of maybe it was for the Mortal Kombat version of Spawn figure that they got coming out for MK11, because he's a guest character in it.
Right. I saw that.
Dude, this figure just came out. I was like, so fucking sick, dude. Like, I wish there was like I'm sure somebody out there in the fucking internet world has this timeline where you start with wave 1 Spawn all the way down, I mean, I remember like the second series I had Spawn. He's kind of like hunched over, had this huge fucking cape. Damn it, man. I think it was the first time he had that giant boot thing that's on his leg, mm-hmm. With the spikes. It was. I think it was like Spawn 2, like the second version of him, like second wave or whatever. And I remember like back then, like just, oh my God, and the horror movie shit they would do.
I was waiting. I was just going to say,
I was coming around.
Fan of Movie Maniacs. Those were so good.
Dude, I had Freddy Krueger, Pumpkinhead. Yeah, I had Pumpkinhead, dude. I ran into some rough times and had to sell that shit, dude. Man, all kinds of fucking horror shit, man. And it's cool because from what I know, and I don't know, people out there listening may, can fucking correct me, call me a jerk off, whatever you want, if I'm wrong. McFarlane, to me, though, was the first I noticed that was really doing those and doing them well. And then that's where I saw like the Nika or Nico, whatever you call them. I'd go to like back when there were still like really DVD movie stores in the mall and shit. That's where I would see those. Suncoast, yes. Holy fuck. The kids don't understand what the fuck Suncoast
dude, that store was the best, man.
Dude, if you wanted to go and get like badass fucking limited editions of like any horror movie you wanted, or I would go there for music DVDs that you couldn't find anywhere, like docs and, live concert DVDs and shit, and toys. Now you got like your, what do you call that shit? I want to call it YNT, but that's some shitty 80s metal band. FYE, thank you.
Yeah, are they even still around? Oh, I think they're too.
No, they're still around. They're overpriced and still around.
Yeah, there's not really like a reason for them.
What do you think of as I got behind me? These guys, the pop figures. What's your opinion on that?
I love them. I see the Ash right there. I think they're really cool. Yeah. I don't have many, but I do have my little.
Oh yeah, there you go. The Warrior, KO, Roddy Piper. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're one of those things that when they first came out, I was like, you know how it is, man. As a collector or of any type of pop culture thing or anything, whether you're in horror or music or comics or any of that, it gets to be expensive as fuck, especially nowadays, because it seems like everything we loved as kids, they make everything. I can go get a fucking pair of Evil Dead fucking underwear if I want, or socks, like I can customize my whole fucking lifestyle around something that I love, where it wasn't like that back in the day, like.
No, I had to go on eBay and pay like $65 for a VHS copy of Return of the Living Dead when I was in like 10th grade. Like, I had to
no shit.
I mean, $65 to a damn 15-year-old is a lot of money. And I remember shelling it out, and the VHS quality was shit, but I mean, that was all you could get. And now it's like I can go on the internet and find toys, T-shirts, like various versions of the DVD with a director's commentary. I mean, it's insane, man. Like, and that used to be, you couldn't find it because no one owned the rights to it for years. And now people have gone through and picked up the rights on all this old shit that like we used to watch. And
the third one I thought was very hard to find on DVD. When I was a kid, VHS, they weren't so bad because we had a place called Movie Gallery. Mm-hmm. And dude, I rented out the entire horror section. I mean, I was watching like from Return of the Living Dead to Faces of Death, you know, Evil Dead, all that shit. Right? It's real. Everybody go! The damn monkey getting boiled. Monkey brains. But, you know, shit like that. And dude, those were the times for me, though. Like it's summertime with your buddies, you know, fucking cruise around your bikes, fucking doing delinquent-ass, debaucherous shit. And getting horror movies and fucking steal a shit ton of comic books. Just have good times, man. You know, collecting action figures and all that shit. But now the world is at your fingertips. You know, it's all fucking there, and I can't like reiterate that enough. How weird it is that it seems like nerds have taken over the world. You know, like everything that's pop culture and that's cool, and especially from the 80s and 90s. You know, from our generation. Is awesome. It's going to be weird to see in the next 20 years how that generation correlates with ours, you know, because to me, it hasn't been like in the 2000s. It's just kind of been shit decade after shit decade. You know, I mean, there's some shining beacons here and there, but to me, it wasn't really like it was in like the 80s and 90s. And maybe I'm dating myself.
And you don't think they're going to make Jersey Shore toys?
Oh God, dude, Jersey, fuck that. I'll take some Backstreet, or not Backstreet, but new Kids on the Block toys over that, you know. You see a lot of that in today's pop culture. A lot of our generation. I mean, dude, look at all the movies that are huge, like Transformers and G.I. Joes and all that shit. The toys, the cartoons, everything's being remade. From when we were kids. Fuck, dude, the Candyman's coming out. You know, like, I cannot believe they remade fucking Candyman.
Tony Todd's still playing him, though, right? Is that what I heard?
From what I understand, he is.
All right, well, I'll take it.
I'll take it. You know,
I'll take it.
I'm kind of, you know, I'm hip to Jordan Peele's shit. You know, I love how he's attached himself to horror, you know, like, you think of Key and Peele, maybe like some extreme, you know, adult humor comedy, and they're awesome for that. But to, you know, some of the shit he's done, he's knocked out of the park. Some of it's been like, maybe that's a little too like got race issues in it. And I'm tired of seeing all that fucking shit because we got to move on. But, let's just all get along. Sorry. But I think he's a good mind for fucking horror, man. You know, I really do.
No, he's definitely a fan. That's what makes him so good, is that dude definitely is a fan and appreciates.
And look at what's his name? Kenny Powers. Who's Kenny Powers? What's his name? His real name? Danny McBride, dude, doing the Halloween series. And I heard he's wanting to do something else, remake some other fucking horror movies. Like, it's cool when these cats get into that and they have that stroke and that influence in Hollywood. So you know it's okay, we're gonna remake this, but it's not gonna be some bullshit, you know? Like, there's been so much bullshit coming out. Much like in the fucking pro wrestling world. You know, me and you have talked. WWE has been fucking garbage. They may have the best fucking roster in the world at the moment.
They don't know what to do with it.
They don't know what to do with it. It's like WCW at the tail end where they had like everybody signed, but they didn't do shit with them. You know?
I mean, I don't know what fucking planet I'm living on when Ricochet is getting buried on a nightly basis. That just seems like goddamn insanity.
Well, and to me too, it's very hurtful because like I loved Lucha Underground. To me, it felt, and I think we talked about this, it felt like the second coming of like an ECW, dude.
That is essentially what started these sculptures. I was watching, they put Lucha Underground on Netflix. Yeah. So I finally got to like watch it. And I mean, I watched like all 50 episodes of those first two seasons, like boom, 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 boom. I mean, it must take me 2 weeks. And that was when I was like, man, that Pentagon, like, someone's got to sculpt that shit. He's just too cool. Like,
he's too cool for school, man. Like, and he got that Vampiro rub too, dude. You couldn't, like, storyline wise. That's fucking dope, right there. That's what it's about. Motherfuckers out there watching this shit. You need to commission this shit. You can get your own. Look at that. Sign too.
But yeah, once I saw that, I had the same feeling. Like, I think the first match I watched was me and my brother-in-law watched that Vampiro versus Pentagon, where they just beat the living shit out of each other. And it was like, wow, I haven't seen this kind of wrestling in like 15 years.
Yeah, it was great, man. Vampiro came out looking like the dead Pope, almost like Papa from Ghost, you know?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It was
great.
They had fucking, dude, they had everything. Light tubes, you had fire. It was blood, brutality. It was, dude, and it told a great story. And because of that, to me, like, that's launched Lucha Underground. We stressed this plenty of times in various episodes, was a launching pad for many a superstar throughout various promotions. Now,
almost every one of them signed now to somebody big.
Almost every one of them, except maybe Marty the Moth. Marty, we're still waiting on the interview.
Steve Elise somehow is still not signed, which makes
that's kind of weird. But 99% of them are, you know. But Pentagon, that's where the character of Pentagon really, that whole storyline, man, wise, you couldn't write something better. The whole thing with the master and the teacher and Vampiro, dude, like, and when it played out and the payoff to that was better than anything you got in the fucking WWE in like the last decade. Bar none. Just in that one storyline. And then not only did
months of build up too.
Dude. Excuse me. It was fucking great. But that's what Lucha did for a lot of their talent, you know, and they changed the business the way that we see the business now. I don't think there's, we have this fucking bullshit pandemic going on, right? WWE WrestleMania is happening with no fans. There's a lot of shit happening with no fans, but then they record these movie-esque cinematic matches. Those matches, like the Undertaker match and the Firefly Funhouse, don't happen if there wasn't Lucha Underground, in my opinion.
That Firefly Funhouse match I thought was fantastic.
Oh, it's great.
Dude, when John Cena is doing the curls, and the cream always rises to the top.
It reminds me of something from like Nightmare on Elm Street, dude. Like if like Freddy got a hold of him and he can't
lift his arms anymore. He's fucking screaming, and he's seen us, his veins popping out of everywhere. He's just like,
what they call him, like
dying, man.
Johnny Big Rod or something like that.
Yeah. So good, man.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff wouldn't happen without Lucha Underground. You wouldn't have like Final Deletion and stuff in Impact without Lucha Underground. That cinematic presence, Lucha presented it first before anybody else. And they gave you this like new way to enjoy pro wrestling that was like, oh, wow, like this is more like a movie. And then when they cut to the action, it's like actual fucking intense in-ring action, you know?
And their little area, like their temple, I guess they called it, the room that they wrestled in, dude, that environment was so cool. Like it was so like that atmosphere was so sick. Just like I don't know how they just came out along the top of the stairs and came down. And like I don't know.
It was the modern day 2300 arena, you know?
Right? Yeah, it was like exactly. It was just like the ECW arena.
Did you? So going back, I mean, you're obviously a huge ECW guy, and so am I, dude. I remember watching them up here back in the day, like in the early. Well, I watched the very first pay-per-view that they ever did. I bought that fucking thing. That was so cool. I'll never forget that. And then going into TV in the late 90s, we used to have Man Cow TV up here. Mm-hmm. And it was like super late night on like UPN or some fucking TV station would be ECW Hardcore TV, which, you know, you can watch some of that on the network, WWE Network now. I just remember those nights, man. Like high school, fucking weekends, you know, like I said, Man Cow and then ECW right afterwards. And me and my buddies would get those catalogs, like probably sent from like the Dudleys or Taz themselves, you know, because they were doing all that shit. And being able to order the shirts from there. And it was very personal, dude. It felt like this fucking movement, you know, and it was
rock, dude. That whole
it was
whole shit
totally punk rock. Totally, man. It was Nirvana wiping away the fucking grunt or the glam 80s bullshit hair rock scene, you know. It was intense. And there was so much different shit going on. You had characters like New Jack and who was very different from a character like Raven, who was very different from a character like Taz and Sabu, and all this shit just played out. And one of the best fucking storylines probably ever in wrestling, in feuds, that still somewhat carries on to this day is Raven and Tommy Dreamer. Dude. Oh, yeah. It's so fucking awesome. Like that, man, it's weird. It's like I've been really reminiscing because, like, you know, there's the whole thing with the Last Dance documentary and the Chicago Bulls of the 90s, which I was a huge mark for. And those were great times to live in. I just wish there was something kind of like that with like ECW. I mean, we had the Rise and Fall DVD back in the day, which then sparked the bullshit WWECW. But man, those were fucking great times, man. And it's hard to sit back and think that we'll ever have something kind of like that again, you know, especially now with this shit.
Still to this day, I always tell everybody, like, man, if there's one match that I talk about in my entire life that I've seen live, it was seeing New Jack come out to the ring. He was tagging with Balls and Axel. And they beat the living shit out of the Baldies, man. Like, I've never seen anything like it. New Jack came over and fist bumped me and my buddy, and like we had blood on our hands afterwards. We're like, fucking this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. He's breaking keyboards on their heads. I think he had a
Natural Born Killers just playing the whole time.
The music playing the whole time, because I had never seen ECW, period. I saw it live for the very first time.
No shit.
I had only seen it in magazines, and it came to the Asheville Civic Center, and I was like, I'm fucking going, man. I've seen that wild shit in the magazines. And I remember just being like, what in the hell's going on? I remember we got thrown out because I brought a Chinese exchange student with me. And
a Chinese exchange student? You took him to an ECW show?
Yeah. Yeah, he thought it was awesome. But Tommy Dreamer was fighting Tajiri that night. And nice. He started referring to him, keep in mind, this was like 98. So he was throwing some slurs around, I'll just say that. And my buddy stands up on his chair and throws his Coke at him. And we ended up all getting thrown out of the fucking arena before the Sabu Just Incredible main event. And I was so
fuck.
The security guards came over. They're like, y'all got to go. He threw something. I'm like, no, the fuck he didn't. My buddy.
Atlas security too, isn't it?
Yeah. He's like, he definitely threw that Coke at Tommy Dreamer's head. I was like, shit. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. They came around here at the Gary once at the Genesis Convention Center, I believe.
Their shows were wild, man. There to this day haven't been anything. You mentioned the pandemic, man. I just want to say thank God for MLW right now.
Yeah.
Because those guys must have recorded 9,000 fucking hours of footage.
Well, dude,
before this happened. Because they're the only ones I'm watching every week right now.
Yeah. They're good. I mean, Impact's been good too. It's been all right.
I don't have regular cable, so like Impact, you gotta
get yourself a Fire Stick. I'm not insinuating everything.
We're on Twitch if you watch it live.
Oh, Twitch, yeah.
And I have Amazon. I think you get one free Twitch channel, so I'll do that.
No, you don't have to pay for it. It's free. No, dude, do you game at all?
I'm great with technology, if you guys can't tell. Do I have what at all?
Do you game at all? Xbox, PlayStation?
Oh, yeah.
You just download the Twitch app and search the channel Impact Wrestling. When they come on, you don't have to fucking pay anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can just watch it live.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, dude. Because that's where.
And then you can
feud with Ken Shamrock. I can't fucking believe it.
Yeah. Then you can not tweet about it with your flip phone. But no, they're MLW. Yeah, man, dude. I've been to a few of their TV tapings. Whew. And they are long, dude. They are long and treacherous, but it's worth it.
Those guys haven't ran out. I'm like, when is it going to stop coming out? Like every week, it's new footage. I'm like, they just keep going. I mean, I'm happy about it.
Yeah, dude, they tape a lot of shit.
Mance Warner. Drears, dramatic pause.
Hell yeah, dude. We seen what was it, Threaten? Who the fuck did Mance go against? No, I've seen him a bunch of times at MLW, but I thought he was at the was he at the GCW show? I don't think so.
Yeah, he was.
The BLP?
Yeah, the GC. He fought that dude at the broken.
Oh, Gangrel.
No. Gangrel fought Danhausen.
I'm sorry, Mikey. We're fucking it up.
Gangrel fought Danhausen.
No, Gangrel fought Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, that's right, Orange Cassidy. No, who's that guy that also is just as hardcore as Manser, but he's got like a chipped tooth?
No, that's not. No, Nick Gage fought fucking Effie.
Okay, you're right. And
then I remember I grabbed his bloody cock after that.
Effie versus Nick Gage. Did I catch that correctly?
Yes. Oh, dude, it was. Dude, you can. We did a highlight video. There's some shit from it, man. Like, props to Effie on that shit.
Y'all
dude, that
so
was
lucky.
Brutal.
You guys are out in wrestling Mecca in Chicago.
Yeah, well, right now everybody's fucked because we ain't getting anything anywhere unless you go to Chicago, shitty fucking Florida, where they're like, oh yeah, come do shows down here. We're gonna allow some fans and everybody gets sick and die. Die, you go to hell, you die.
God damn, at this point, I'm willing to risk it to go to a wrestling show and watch that shit live right now.
I don't know, bro, because I'll tell you this, dude. I would tell you this. Normally, I would feel you, man, because trust me, I not being able to play shows with my band or go to wrestling shows and interact and do any of that shit, it sucks. Don't get me wrong, but I also do enjoy the fucking quality time I get with the family. I fucking really love that.
Congratulations on the new baby, by the way.
Thank you.
Last time I talked to you, that was still on the way.
Oh yeah, he's here. He's fucking. Awesome. He's fucking shit up right now. So yeah, but it's goddamn, dude. It's like you can't go to these shows when you don't know what's gonna happen. For one, okay. And when we were talking about that GCW show that we went to, the Black Label Pro GCW, we did a whole weekend where we went to All Out, we went to Warrior Wrestling, we went to GCW, and then during that week, dude. I don't know how many people we met and fucking interacted with and shook hands. I got so fucking sick. And I haven't been that sick in a long time. Dude, I was off of work for like 3 fucking days. I usually don't do that. I mean, I might, be one of those guys that's like, hey, I drank a little too much the night before and just say, fuck it. But I'm usually not that guy, In 3 days, dude, it had me beat up feeling like a split dog's dick, man. Had me feeling fucking horrible.
That's wild to hear because I feel like all of us pro wrestling fans are usually fairly clean people.
You're full of shit. I didn't shower yesterday. I smelled my armpit and I couldn't stand myself. As my girlfriend's shaking her head. Right? Salute.
I remember going to a show in the last year and slowly realizing, kind of like the end of Usual Suspects when you find out who the real bad guy is, just how smelly everyone was. It was like this weird final take of a movie where I just kept turning my head and smelling like armpits and butts. I was like, get out of here! Everybody fucking smells like an ass.
Yeah, and not to not to put the blame fully on wrestling fans. I mean, even though most of you are a bunch of dirty bastards, clean yourselves up.
Yeah, wash your ass.
Dude, like I said, I've been doing the grindcore metal gig for many, many moons now, and they stink just as bad. And it's not just it ain't just the boys either.
No.
It's fucking bad, dude.
No.
It's fucking putrid.
I did want to add, so right before all this stuff started, we were watching a lot of wrestling, and me in particular, because I'm still new to everything, and there's so much to take in. And now's a good time to catch up on a lot of shit before it starts up again in a handful of months. Mm-hmm. And that being said, like the WWE Network, IWTV, MLW on YouTube, on Twitch, that Impact channel, even if it's not live, they show old shows, and it could be something anywhere between the last 10 years where they constantly are looping shows, and you don't have to be in such a
Impact Plus. People can check that out.
I got to get on some of that.
So there's ways to watch this stuff where you could casually catch up without freaking out. You're like, shit, I missed this weekend. There were like 8 shows.
Yeah. I feel like this may all wind up being pretty good for the independents though, because they're gonna be cranking up way before the big ones, I would imagine, right?
Well, I
think so.
You would think so, but it really depends. Like I know around here, like guys like Black Mikey at Black Label, like until something's concrete that like, hey, this shit can be controlled or I don't even know if controlled is the right fucking word. Until this shit can be okay to some extent and to where they feel like talent and fans are not going to be put in potential danger. And the same goes for another one of our homies, Matt Nix at Freelance Wrestling. They're not going to do it, man.
You don't think so?
No, I mean,
well, I would just think like they can at least run a smaller show starting out. I mean, no one's packing an arena, I would think, this year. Like, or at least until the fall, like tops. But I mean, if you want to run a 200, 300 person show, that might be a possibility. So this, I don't know. I'm just being optimistic because like I want the indies to do well. Like the big ones. I mean, obviously it was exciting to see AEW start up, and it scares the shit out of me that all this happened now because the timing couldn't be any fucking worse.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what their finances are, but
they've been consistent though. Yeah. They've been consistent. They're signing, they got Matt Hardy on a big money Matt contract. And, with all these releases that WWE has put out in the last week or two, I mean, it's the possibilities are endless, but it's still weird because, like you said, it's what do you do? It's with this shit going on, nobody's really running. MLW is living off on borrowed time on the tape library that seems to be infinite.
Like they just never ends.
Yeah. And they got
okay. So let me ask you guys a question: if you had out of all those releases, if you had to pick one that you think breaks out and like indies becomes like the best thing that could have happened to them, because there's a handful of guys that got let go where it's like, dude, this is
a lot.
If it wasn't right now because there's no wrestling at all.
Yeah.
If it wasn't right now, like, who do you think is going to be the breakout guy?
I know what you want to hear, and I'm going to go with EC3.
How'd you know that's what I want to hear?
Because I'm the juice.
That's definitely where the fuck I was going with it, too. So, I think EC3 was money before he came in. They botched him hard, and I don't know. I don't even know what happened there. He pissed somebody. I heard he, got his name. He got the rights to his whole deal.
Well, there was a thing with Impact when Matt Hardy initially left and they fought it, and this is when Jarrett was still in the company and he was trying to fight it, and they didn't want to give him the rights to the final deletion, even though it was pretty much his baby. It's like, hey, you did it under the Impact TNA GFW, wherever the fuck they were at the time, banner. It's ours. It got real ugly, and they finally said, fuck it. Ed Nordholm, the head of Anthem Sports and Entertainment, which is the parent company of Impact Wrestling, said, you know what, fuck it. From here on out, we're going to give Matt his shit, and not only are we going to do that, anybody who creates a character in Impact Wrestling is free to take that character elsewhere. So, which is awesome, and it's kind of unprecedented in the professional wrestling world, because if you remember, back in the day, unless you were like a Hulk Hogan or Macho Man, when they went jump ship from WWF to WCW, you'd have some booty ass name, like Brutus Beefcake wasn't Brutus Beefcake in WCW. He was the Booty Man, and the Zodiac or the Shark. It was crazy fucking shit, So it was something like that, and so he got to take EC3 there, which was cool. It was weird. It was to ever see WWE mention TNA or talk about them, and they've done many of things now on the network, and they've had working agreements where they say, hey, check out Impact Plus, this is where their footage came from, which they had to do because business wise it makes sense. When you 10 years ago, when you say fuck you, we're never going to touch these guys again or sign any of this talent, And then fast forward 10 years, and you got a lot of these guys and their talent, AJ Styles being, Bobby Roode, all the main guys, and you brought Kurt Angle back. A lot of those guys spent so much time. Dude, Kurt Angle spent more fucking time in TNA than he ever did WWE.
Right, yeah.
So they want some of that back catalog, some of that back footage to show for some of this shit. And they worked out and they did some business together, which is cool. I'm glad that they did, but it's still surreal in a way, and now we're seeing stuff. But anyways, before I go forward, that's how EC3 was able to get his shit and go forward with that character. And now he's cutting these promo videos that he's got like this goatee and shit.
Super intense. His head is shaved and he's like using all these big words and shit.
He's kind of knocking MJF. I would love to see MJF versus EC3. That would be a great story to be told. But, there's plenty of opportunity out there for a lot of these guys. Some of these guys have already been elsewhere, and it might behoove them to go back. Hence, Machine Gun, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows.
Those two will be fine. I'm not even
go
worried.
Back. Bullet
Carl
Club
Anderson,
for life.
he's from Asheville.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. He's got his hot Japanese wife, as he says.
Those guys will be fine. I think it's probably the best thing that could have happened to Zack Ryder, too, if I had to guess.
Zack Ryder, he may end up in AEW, but then you got Cody Rhodes saying that they're not going to sign everybody that leaves WWE, which is great. They shouldn't, because all the smart marks out there are going to fucking lash out on them, And,
we got nothing else to do.
Yeah, exactly right. Go suck on mom's teeth.
I just don't understand how Rusev didn't get bigger. That guy rode into WrestleMania on a fucking tank.
Politics, man.
On a tank.
And he got separated from his wife, his legit wife in the storyline in some kind of, what do you call that?
They got cucked out by somebody.
They did get cucked out by Bobby Lashley, who, if you guys go follow us on Instagram, or which we now have a TikTok. I can't believe I got conned in the fucking get one of those fucking things.
Hammered up his ass?
Yes, you know about it. Dude, I got it on our TikTok. It's in slow motion. It's like... To my buddy Brad, he has a band called the Pink Machines. It's just him doing all the shit. The song's called Play Rate Date, and it's Bobby Lashley like getting hammered in the ass.
Yeah. I've never seen this before.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck, dude? So much weird shit going on out there in the wrestling world. But hey, some good shit going on. Impact Rebellion, your boy Willie Mack on that T-shirt you're sporting, the new X Division champion. So hell yeah.
Drinking another light beer.
But you got Moose. What I was wanting to get into, Moose bringing because of this quarantine shit, it's really got everybody all dazed and confused for so long. It's not true. Moose bringing the TNA World Heavyweight Championship to Rebellion to defend that against Hernandez and Michael Elgin. It was really weird, and now I'm seeing a lot of things.
He didn't win it off of Tessa.
No, listen, he brought the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, not the Impact title.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So he's got this storyline where he's like, well, I've defeated your RVDs, your Rhinos, your Chase Stevens, all this shit. And then I'm reading articles that, the network who Impact essentially owns a majority share in Access Television, which is also owned by Steve Harvey and who's the guy from the Dallas Mavs, Rhett?
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban. I just watched him in The Cold as Balls. It was really weird. Anyways, they supposedly they were supposed to do a WrestleMania weekend thing where they brought back as a nostalgia factor. They were going to do a TNA themed show. Because TNA has been dead. They were rebranded as Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, I remember them posting that all over Twitter, like, we're going to do this thing, and they had the old graphics and everything.
Yeah, and it was cool. But obviously the whole COVID-19 thing happened. And then they did a special on Access TV, which was kind of throwback, and they had some, mixed matches from current superstars, the old TNA guys, and they had they brought back David Penzer, which is fucking awesome. Old WCW announcer, who was with TNA for a long time. And it's great to hear him dude, he's one of those legendary guys. And there's actually another guy I want to get to as far as announcing goes here in a second. They brought him back, and they started doing all this stuff, and the network loved the ratings. So now I'm seeing reports that I don't know if they're going to fully bring TNA back. It's kind of weird. I mean, I don't mind it, but it does look real tacky that, like, hey, man, you can't fucking identify who you are. Yeah. You know, after so many years, you were GFW, your Impact, your TNA, I get that where people want to talk shit about that because it is kind of weird. But maybe if they work out an angle where it's like TNA versus Impact and it comes to a head and Impact prevails and they unify the titles, it'd be an all right storyline, you know?
Yeah.
But what Moose is doing right now with it, I absolutely love, dude. Like he's you know, you're on Twitter and shit, man. Get on there and look at some of his tweets. Dude's fucking gold right now. He came out at Rebellion wearing garb like the fucking Ultimate Warrior.
yeah. I saw him dressed all funny. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, dude.
He is since Ring of Honor, though, man. I'm a big fan of Moose.
Yeah, dude.
It's fun to watch.
Man.
Like, I don't know.
He's great. He's a hell of an athlete. He's probably one of the best guys I've seen transition from the NFL, aside from Monty Brown. You know, I think those were like the two best. You know, you had Mongo McMichaels and all your other guys. That it was just like whatever.
I just watched a video of him the other day in that 6-man tag where he's like fucking. They're trying to whip Mongo across the ring.
Did you watch that?
Stumbling all over the goddamn place.
Was that with the NWO and
I believe it was like him and Ric Flair and somebody else going against the NWO, I think, and they're like trying to whip him, and he just like, I mean, that dude doesn't know right from left. Like he's just stumbling all over the fucking place, and then he just hits this dog shit spear, and I was like, how did this ever make it to TV? This guy,
dude, 85 Bears, man. The Bears. Don't talk shit about the Bears now. Yeah, he was horrible.
Never a fan of that guy.
His wife left him and went to Austin. Then he beat her, and you know,
yeah,
that's that story. But yeah, I mean, as far as anything going on lately in professional wrestling, not too much. You know, I'm kind of AEW. Everything's still firing on all cylinders, like you said. MLW. I would agree it is probably the most exciting thing to watch right now.
Dark Side of the Ring. That's
Dark Side of the Ring is great.
Amazing. Like every one of those things has been so good.
By the time you guys listen to this, they will be talking about the promoter from the UWF on this week's episode. That I think is called like Cocaine and Cowboy Boots or something like that.
Thank you.
Man, it's just that series has been an absolute pleasure to watch, and hopefully they do.
You can like get your wife to watch it and stuff, and like my wife's a fan of wrestling, but she'll sit down and watch those because they're like they make them so entertaining and interesting and cool, and they're shots.
It's good. It's true crime wrestling.
Yeah,
you know?
That's exactly what it is.
It's very appealing. Unfortunately, you know, I mean, actually, it's a thing with me and my old lady before this shit happened. Even still going into it, like she sits down and is like, "Hey, it's Wednesday. Oh shit, AEW's on." Like, that's her saying, like, yeah, like we sit down and watch it, like that's fucking cool, you know. And we used to do the same with NWA. You know, I don't know what the fuck their program is like anymore.
Oh, I know, man. I was so into that, dude. And then this happened, and just like everything fell apart. Because, like I told you, like we're friends with the Dawson brothers, so it made me happier than hell to see those guys on TV, like getting some due. I was like, yes. And then stupid fucking COVID.
Those damn dirty Dawsons. Hey, so real quick before we end here, Aaron, tell everybody where they can find you and where they can commission your artwork, man.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to get a website up here soon because I desperately need one. But like I was telling you before the show started, I've just recently been inundated with quite a few orders. So, but right now, like most of the time, everyone just communicates with me through my my Twitter handle, which is @ScreamingBulls1. Should have been Screaming Bullseye, but they changed. Like right when I hit enter, they just changed it to Screaming Bulls 1. I don't know what happened there.
That's what happens when you get a flip phone.
Yeah. No, I did it through my computer. It still went wrong. Yes. So don't expect fast response, like super fast, because I respond when I get to a computer or like a tablet, but I do not have a smartphone right now because I'm just that guy. But yeah, Twitter, I'm at Screaming Bulls 1, and you can shoot me an instant. Just give me a follow, fire off an instant message. I usually get back to you pretty quick. Or Instagram. I think I'm just Screaming Bullseye on Instagram, and you can communicate through me or through there with me, and either one of those works great. So I typically check them pretty often, try to get back to people if they inquire about getting any work done or anything like that. But also just visit them, check out my photos and stuff. I think I have every one of my sculptures should be on both those platforms. I'm not 100%, but I'm going to get some real nice pictures here soon with like a black backdrop, professional camera and stuff. That's on the docket as well. It's just, I don't know, things have been kind of crazy lately, but I'm definitely, I mean, I will sculpt anybody. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a wrestler. It can be Wayne from Letterkenny. It can be
Wayne from Letterkenny.
Yeah, man. Anybody.
I love the hockey guys. Like the boys. Who are those? Like, or what's his name? Shorts.
Oh, Riley and
Riley and
Shorzy.
Jones.
Fuck you, Shorzy.
Fuck you, Shorzy.
Fuck you, Riley. I was fucking your mom last night.
This shit's fucking awesome, dude. You gotta do the whole cast of Letterkenny, man.
Oh man, I'd love to, but I gotta finish Wayne for sure. I started that a while ago, and then started got back having to do wrestlers and stuff.
Was that did you say that Wayne was at a commission for somebody?
Oh hell no, that was just me having fun. Yeah,
right on.
I went balls deep on that show, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good! Like, how is everyone not talking about this show?"
Right, dude. I agree.
They were doing a live show in Greensboro, which is right down the road from me, and they've
been around Chicago, man.
Ass damn disease.
Yeah, right. Have you seen Lil Kenny?
The cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it okay.
It was all right.
I prefer the live action one because, like, in the cartoon, they just kind of chill. They stand right there and like do their little one-liners.
Yeah, they're one-liners, but they're cute little kids.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good, man. I'm a fan of everything those guys do. So they can't do anything wrong.
They are up there as far as like shows that I'm pissed. You know, here's in the age we live in, it sucks that we can binge shit. It's awesome, but it sucks. Because you'll watch it in the whole day, and then you'll be like, "Fuck! I gotta wait a fucking year for this, to come back out." Like, I'm American Horror Story. We've been with my son, me and my old lady.
84?
84 was great, dude.
It was
I love
so
84.
good. I shit on that show all the time. I'm a big person to shit on some of the seasons of that show.
You shit? Really? Come on.
But 84 was great, man.
84
I thought that
was awesome.
The finale, like all the violence, I mean, it just took me back to like the movies we were talking about earlier. I was like, okay, these guys, like, this is perfect.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where they go next, you know. And that's the perks and some of the non-perks, though, of having with that show, you watch it every week and then it's over. But for those people who wait and you binge it, it's like almost even worse because it's like you watch it all right then and there, and then you got to wait a whole entire year for more of that. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah, man, it makes you, I mean, at least I feel like an entitled piece of shit now when I watch like shows where I have to go week by week. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I know, right? How dare you make me wait
for like 3 years ago, we used to watch every show like that. And now I'm like, I can't believe they expect me to do this.
The motherfuckers. Aaron, I thank you very much, man, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Blast. Yeah, anytime you want to come on and shoot the shit, dude, door's always open, man. Usually, too, I wanted to get this in. What's your turnaround like as far as like your bus go, real quick?
Okay, so if there's something that I have made that you're interested in, contact me. Mm-hmm. Depends on what it is. Some things I can replicate. Like if it was something I did for a commission, I can't replicate that for anybody because someone
say like a Pentagon. Someone wants to hit you up for a Pentagon.
Yeah, I could probably turn that around in 3-4 weeks. I mean, I have a day job, so this isn't my job. It's something I enjoy doing, hobby that's turned into some decent side money. So, but yeah, exactly. But
we need to make it rain, dude, on your parade. It's got to fuck that.
Turn it into a full-time job, guys. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, get the
turn around on a Pentagon would be like probably 3 to 4 weeks. So you get 1 month, you know. But if it's like from scratch, you're looking at more like just to save myself the trouble, 8 to 10 weeks if I got to start from armature all the way through. Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, because like if I was to do Pentagon, I don't have to sculpt that again. It's done. I molded them, so all I got to do is mix up some plastic, dump it in, sand it down, and paint it. So.
But it's great. And in turn, you guys get a finished piece of whatever you want, whether it's professional wrestling or even the fucking Predator, which, dude, I would love to see a Predator by you. Come on, bring the shit, as Max Cavalera would say. You know, done by a guy.
Order a Frank Dukes from Bloodsport. That would really make me
Frank. Dude, hey, man, you want to throw out some fucking Bolo Young, a Bolo Young fucking bust.
Oh, God.
Yeah, dude.
There's some way I could inflate it so he could bounce his titties.
Oh, yeah, right. Or it's like he grabs
maybe
the
just sculpt it with one uneven.
We'll be talking shit about Bolo now. He's the greatest to ever live. But yeah, you guys order this shit. You can get it from a guy who was fucking trained by the best, or at least shown the way, and he's forged his own path. And Aaron, dude, always a pleasure to talk to you, brother. I hope you fucking make it through this bullshit without, going too insane from sticking inside and not really doing too much.
Oh no, dude! You guys don't worry about me. I'm a black belt and fucking being a shut-in. So I got plenty of sculpting. I got plenty of sculpting to do. So.
Yeah, he's the black recluse. Hey, brother, I really appreciate it, man. And for all you guys out there watching and listening, thank you guys for tuning in. Please make sure to check out Aaron and his products. They're fucking amazing. It's some of the coolest shit. I know a lot of you guys out there listening are in the same shit we are, whether it's wrestling, horror, fucking heavy metal. We didn't really get a chance to talk too much about your musical shit, but I know you're a huge Misfits fan and a metal fan. So we'll tear into that shit next time because you will be back. Oh, yes, sometimes they come back, just like you guys come back every week, whether it's on YouTube at jpw.com or iTunes or Spotify or any of that shit. You're always coming back because we got the juice. And until next time, we love you. We got to wet them up, wet them up, wet them up. Oh my God, I'm so fucking wet for Aaron and all the sculptures in his beautiful artwork. It gets me so fucking sensational. Yeah.
You gonna do sex to me?